Good morning, members. I'm not getting pleasure. I mean, in the sense, since when I have taken the convenership, I was happy that participations are increasing. But every week we are inviting such a, excellent speaker. In their name only public is coming, not in my name. Last week we had Vimal Punimia sir. He's a veteran. This week we have Praful Bhai, Piyush Bhai. So registrations are getting in his name only. Last week we had big news. 5 state assemblies. BJP won in 3 assemblies and then turn around in Bengal last 50 years. They turned the government. So let's see how they take up the big challenges for them. So for today's session, let's start with, first we start with institute motto and then followed by national anthem.
भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा उत्कल गंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उज्जल जगति तरंगा तब शुभ नामे जागे तब सुख आशीष मांगे गाहे तब जय गाथा जन गण मंगल दायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय 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 हे भारत माता की जय।
So I was getting a lot of requests from members. So why don't we have a session on income tax, new income tax, and all nuances of this new income tax changes. So I thought, who is better than Piyush sir? So though as per protocol, we have to give him brief introduction, but I think he's a well familiar name in the institute and all CF fraternity. So, but still, I would like to invite our past convener, Mahavir Janji, to give a brief introduction of our, learned speaker for today. Mahavir. and followed by that moment of appreciation, recognition.
Thank you, Lalitji. It's a great pleasure for me to introduce today's learned speaker, Mr. Piyush Chhajed. He has 26 years of extensive expertise as a senior partner in Messrs. Chhajed and Doshi, chartered accountant, a distinguished chartered accountancy firm located in Mumbai. His educational background boasts a bachelor's degree from Annam College. He also hold diploma in DISA. He is an expert tax litigation and advisory. CA Piyush has made significant contributions to the finance and accountancy landscape on both national and international levels. Notably, he was a member of Central Council Institute of Chartered Accountants from 22 to 25, and from 25 till 29 he is continuing, and I hope till he became president he will be continuing. In the ICI, he has served all the three pivotal standing committee: executive, examination, finance, showcasing his multifaceted understanding of the profession. He is currently chairman of Direct Tax Committee and vice chairman of Professional Development Committee. He has served as vice chairman of Expert Advisory Committee. He was technical advisor on International Auditing and Assurance Standard Board (IAASB) and member of committee for study fiscal regimes and other statutory requirements for business in SARC. He was a member of working committee for Asian Federation of Accountants also. He is a member of consultative group formed for purpose of tax reforms by Niti Aayog and group formed for ease of doing business, Ministry of Finance, Government of India. In addition, his contributions extend to the Reserve Bank of India, where he held a key role as a member of External Advisory Committee for Asset Reconstruction Company. His dedication is also evident in his proactive involvement in creating and sharing knowledge. He is a regular contributor to direct tax publications, offering insights and interpretation that help shape the discourse within the taxation committee. His contribution to WIRC publication Vivad Se Vishwas Scheme 2020 and his role as a reviewer for FAQ on charitable trust published by the Jain Chartered Accountants JCA highlights. He is on the board of Wimplast Limited, Celloworld and Multibase Limited. Beyond his professional pursuits, Mr. Chhajed is actively engaged in various trust organizations where he serves as an independent director, honorary board member, honorary vice president, and trustees in different capacities, further showcasing his commitment to social community. Apart from that, he is also our study circle member. Yes. So please welcome him with a round of big applause. He is taking the first session, Bird Eye on the Income Tax. Before he takes, I request Bhavesh and Vijal Modi and Seema Mehtaji to present a memento as a appreciation of study circle. Please welcome with a round of big applause to today's young, dynamic, and ever smiling face, Mr. Piyush Chhajed.
Very much, CM Aveji, for the introduction. Very good morning to all of you. Dignitaries on the dais, the convener of this very vibrant study circle, CA Lalit Batsalji, and the deputy convener, CA Vijay Modi, who has just taken over a charge. I believe it's almost a month now. And of course, all were the past conveners on the dais also. I could see Mahavir Jain, Seema Mehta ji, Bhavesh ji, all other past conveners, seniors in the profession, members of this JB Nagar Study Circle. Very rightly said, Mahavir ji, when he was introducing them, I am also the member of this study circle. And in fact, this is my, I believe, almost 11th year in a consecutive where I am delivering a lecture on income tax, either of the top. Since 2015, now it's 2026, every year, some or other topics we choose on income tax act. When the convener spoke that the change is only permanent, and he gave an example of Kolkata, and obviously you can add Kerala also. I think so, that's true. It's true at all levels. We may like it or not like it. And I would just give you, because when an introduction was being run, Mahavir ji said that I'm a chairman of direct tax committee. Probably the small change I will tell you. Of course, when I joined the council, I was a vice chairman in the first year. 2 years I was a chairman. And on 12th Feb, I was again a direct tax committee chairman for an hat-trick. But I was going to Nagpur for signing an MOU with the National Academy of Direct Taxes on 1st of April. So when I flew from Delhi, I was the chairman of Direct Tax Committee. When I landed for that MOU, I got an email that now you are a chairman of Corporate Laws Committee. So the change is always permanent, and very rightly so also. This has happened for the first time. As you all know, there is a corporate amendment bill coming, and the council thought it fit that let us have some change. Probably council would have felt that I had some experience to present income tax act when the accountant definition was being questioned by a lot of other professional bodies before the select committee of Lok Sabha. And now this corporate laws amendment bill will be going to the joint parliamentary committee, as we all know. There will be a presentation given by the institute. So I was been changed to the corporate laws committee. And again, two very important things which will come up in the Corporate Laws Committee, which also came before the Income Tax Act 2025, is always an audit. How far the audit has to remain a statutory function. It has to be made more value added. I don't know, people sitting over here, if you have gone through Corporate Laws Amendment, there is certain powers been taken by the ministry, by the governments, that whether we should bring in limit for some audits, prescribe certain class of the companies where an audit may not be required. There would be also some cooling off period, like if I'm doing an audit for 10 years, whether, of course, as you know, during an audit, you cannot provide non-audit services, management services. They want to expand that scope beyond 10 years to another 3 years. So cooling off. So the mind is completely changed. And if you see, as I was just trying to make the changes permanent. We'll have to adapt to the changes time to come. And Income Tax Act 2025 is one of the example of it. Before, of course, the presentation, as you know, I'll go into a bird's eye view, what are the important changes. But before that, I would like to have certain background known to you, which is very important to appreciate why Income Tax Act 2025 came. I've been 2 years direct tax chairman during the making of this Income Tax Act 2025, from Feb 2024 to Feb 26, how it covered, what were the intricacies. I thought I'll try to cover on that. So you may recollect that it all started on 23rd July 2024, when Honorable Finance Minister said and announced in the budget speech itself that we will be doing a comprehensive review of Income Tax Act with the three stated objectives. That three, I'll start on this. Yeah, this is better. I will So there are three stated objectives. One is making the act concise. Secondly, simplifying the language. And third, bringing down the litigations. So she announced that in her budget speech only that with these three objectives, we do a comprehensive review of Income Tax Act. When she announced, nobody knew it, what is going on. People were under the impression that Income Tax Act 1961 would be amended to achieve these objectives, or whether you actually come, nobody knew. It all started on 18th September 2024. Dates are very relevant, that's why I'm mentioning. When the then Revenue Secretary Mr. Sanjay Malhotra, who is currently an RBI governor, after the Income Tax Act one passed, he became an RBI governor, then he goes to Revenue Secretary. He called for a meeting of all the stakeholders. And one of the Institute of Chartered Accountants has been a very important stakeholder of the Ministry of Finance, as always. We were present in the meeting, I was part of that meeting also. And there are other bodies also. And the views were sought that if I want to achieve these three objectives, whether I should review the act or I should come up with the new act. Obviously, if you see the Income Tax Act 1961, there were around 113 provisions which were obsolete. Obsolete in the sense they were not required in the statute at all because they were no more applicable for the relevant assessment years as of today. So you would have read, if I'm reading a particular section, I will read subclause 1, 2, 3, and when I reach at subclause 7, I realize after reading, after understanding that this is not applicable for assessment years 17, something like that. So it was necessary to delete those, remove those. And obviously, if you're removing something from chronology has to break. If the chronology is breaking, then obviously there's no other choice but to have a new Income Tax Act to do it. So practically that the meeting it was decided that there's no choice for the act now to the Income Tax Act 2025. Now again two issues arise that whether we should make a policy changes in the act. Like it was done in GST, which was complete policy makeover. Whereas income tax didn't require a policy makeover. There are only three stated objectives. So it was very necessary that we may not do major policy changes. No major policy changes. Policy changes will be a year-end exercise, which is generally done through a budget. So whenever if I want to introduce new policy or make changes to suit the requirements of the economy, I do through a budget. But here, the same act, I will put it into a new bucket. Income Tax Act 1960 provision, so I will put it into a new bucket and it will be called as Income Tax Act 2025. Practically, that was decided on 18th September 2024. Within a 6 months period, roughly, very swiftly, I can put on record, I can appreciate the efforts of the Income Tax Department. In public, they have said that they have put 75,000 hours because various committees were formed, 150 committees were formed. Section wise, it was distributed to redraft those provisions, make changes if required to correct anomalies if any, but do not make any policy changes. So with this objective, on 13th of February 2025, we elect the Lok Sabha introduced this income tax in 2025. And immediately that bill was referred to select committee of Lok Sabha, which was of 31 members of Lok Sabha, and that select committee had to review it. As far as the institute is concerned, between 18 September and 13 Feb, we have already given our suggestions on this comprehensive review. More than 100 plus suggestions were already accepted, but there was not of much to be done between Income Tax Bill 2025 and before it becomes an act. It all started with the Select Committee, which was appointed, and we were the first to be invited institute on 6th March 2025 to give our views. And what we were told that it would be a 2 hours meeting wherein the institute is required to make a 15 minutes presentation, give their views on whether Income Tax Act 2025 is actually required was Select Committee of Lok Sabha. Or 15 minutes presentation only, and 1 hour 45 minutes, 31 members of Lok Sabha would raise questions, and the institute has to give their views there. So that was the structure of that meeting. That meeting, instead of 2 hours, went for 2 hours 45 minutes, because a lot of questions came up, everybody was thoughtful that what the Income Tax Act 2025 is required just for the purpose of change. And of course, there are members from the opposition also. So they felt that any government act बदल तो ये जैसा मैंने कहा IPC change हुआ, काफी acts को change किया जा रहा है, नाम change किया जा रहा है, maybe the content is not changing. So they were all worried that whether it was required. They wanted our views. Of course, we gave our 15 minutes presentation that what are the good features in the Income Tax Bill and that moment of time. What is required to be done before it becomes an act. And of course, the questions are mostly around one very important thing, this was the definition of accountant. Because that committee was already being presented by many other in an individual capacity other professions, worried that whether accountant definition should be expanded. And why expanded, whether a monopoly of finance should be restricted to only one class of profession or it should be expanded to another. So we tried to answer those questions. Thankfully, accountant definition remained as it is within the Income Tax Act 1961. And Ministry of Finance had a great support on that, I can tell you very well. And it's very important for our members to know that what it is important. Whether it's a tax audit, whether it's an audit. In audit, Ministry of when this question came up before the select committee, that whether we should not have a monopoly of one particular professions, why don't we expand the scope of an accountant?
We, of course, we did presented that how we are competent, what is the losses, and most importantly, if anybody is claiming his competency, any other profession, and if we to do an audit, then instead of claiming it through a backward entry by amendment in that, why don't you appear for an examination? So if I am competent, is an open कोई सी एग्जाम तो और किसी को रोक के कोई रिजर्वेशन नहीं so that worked very well this committee we saw the day of election it was continuing as it is and the most importantly when the question was referred to the list of competitors the institute comes under an NCA. NCA knows that of course there are three acts of the three professional institutions you may know like CA we have another acts also and they will be formed for a very specific purpose for financial audit for secretarial audit and for the cost audit. So legally also and financial audit cannot be done by other professionals. And most importantly, when MCA did not respond in the referral method to Minister of Finance made two great observations, which I feel very proud of. And all members should know, and it is recorded in the report of the Senate Committee, that number one, legally, other than this profession, nobody can do audit. However, number two, it is well made over a period of time that competency to do an audit only rests with the professionals who have cleared the examination of the Institute of Finance. So it became a well-settled, a well-noted in the Senate Committee of the Lok Sabha. After August 2021, when the President gave an assent, another committees were formed to relook into the rules and reforms. As you all know, the rules and forms are already in place. Lot of forms have changed. Around forms have come down by around 100 plus numbers when it comes to my presentation. Huge number of forms have been consolidated. You just take an example of tax audit. 3CA, 3CD, 3CB has been merged into form number 26. We was the two committees formed for rules and forms. The institute was represented on all those committees. And as far as Form 26 is concerned, majorly whatever changes have come has been done because of the Form Institute body. If I was that suggestion of ICI, of course, my audit report, Part A, Part B of the Form 26. Now is quite a bit aligned with audit report within SA 700. Of course, there are certain still they are not accepted that is in regard to management responsibility skills, which they are not accepted. And we had said that instead of true and correct, why don't we bring it to true and fair, even for the purpose of the tax audit also. Which of course they don't want to bring it to true and correct in the higher pedestal of assurance when compared to true and fair. But of course, I will tell we are going to make a case that obviously what you are stating is a fairness, it's not correctness. Of course, an extra of form that is form CCD currently. That is not correctness involved because we are actually stating the fact there and you are not giving your opinion. But if you see the main audit report part, then still make an opinion and therefore our concern was that why not it becomes so fair. But I hope that changes are permanent and my experience when I see a presentation also, my experience has been that community business, Ministry of Finance. If you make a representation today, you will not have it today. But within 2 years, 3 years, it's very well. I just take an example of 150 maybe you may know. अगर कोई भी action section 68 में होता है, living income, so you have a special tax rate, 60%. There you have certain penalty, certain penalty roughly goes down to 78%. That rate was introduced after demonetization. In demonetization के बाद एक scheme आई थी IDS, income disclosure scheme. And you may have heard or you may interact that Honorable Prime Minister at that moment of time had not given one of speeches that if you do not come clean now, I am not going to spare you. That was the word. I am not going. And because IDS was not successful after demonetization, they immediately increased the rate. Well, in between American and brought in, so in between budget 2017 or somewhere. The rate was increased from 30 to 60%. So when I was making a presentation in 2023 to the stability and tax policy bill on a deliberate memorandum which generally every year we give and we make a physical presentation before the board, we made that clear that the objective of which 30% to 60% was increased is not achieved. Whether achieved or not is limited, but now it is accomplished in the sense whether the revenue, monthly revenue or not, that time is not, there is no requirement. And the current CBDT chairman, Mr. Nalini Gupta, who is now NAFTA chairman, he was the CBDT chairman. He said, I agree with you, but we'll take some time. We'll try to look into it. And I'm very happy that at least the Income Tax Act 2025, first of 2026, rate has not only that, subsequently 26 laws. They have also done this budget table. They have amended at both of these because this budget has amended certain provisions of 1961 and certain provisions of 2025. So that way, what I am trying to make a point, whatever you have in your mind, please believe me, even a single solutions are repeated in there. It's not like that. It's not like earlier you will feel that nothing is happening. It takes time. It takes time. If you are accelerating an issue to the institute also or to the land as committee, maybe each and every those individual suggestions of the members have been considered by the committee. And if that appropriate, they are actually accelerated and representation is made to the community. They may accept it or not accept it. And I always tell them, our duty is to make a representation. You don't worry about whether it will be accepted or not. And my personal experience has been what is not accepted on day one, day two, day three will definitely get accepted on day four. This day one, day four, maybe 4 years. But yes, it is accepted. What is important? And obviously, I respect that. Something if you want to bring a change, it's not easy because it's not only our thought process. If I say 60 to 30% taxation, it's not only from a perspective of an assessment, we have to see other considerations also. And we are also aware of 100 assessments, not only those 10 assessments for where considerations are coming, where you feel they are genuine. But there are a lot of ingenuine people also. And to address those issues, they have to continue with that policy or that fact. So I thought I give this background, which is very important to note. And of course, my topic is Income Tax Act 2025, it's a bird's eye view. In my presentation, I just try to bring out important changes which have been made and restructure. I am not going into individual provisions because I believe if you want to study tax act, there should be maybe criminal may decide. You can have a 2 days topic, 2 days in the sense 2 Sundays over here, where you can take up all the provisions headwise. What is changing, what is the nature of business, capital age, and charitable interest may require 4 hours. The most important change is that charitable interest which does not raise charitable anymore after February 2021. Those are changes not only in the current act from 2021, every year because why there is a change in the charitable interest provisions. Even the provisions today, I am similarly changes in European and believe today's Haran will be taking over and is a very good speaker. He is aware of all the backgrounds also. So we will be what is today, what is going to happen after 1st April 2026, he is going to try to cover. So first sessions can also be done. But yes, I try to have a broad view about it. ये और आपको ये फीलिंग आएगी कि अगर इतने ब्रॉड चेंजेस हो रहे हैं तो whether Income Tax Act 2025 was necessary in my view. Yes. And why I again before I go to presentation, two important things please keep it in mind. There was an Income Tax Act 1922. यहाँ पे शायद ऐसे बहुत कोई भी हो गया या होंगे क्या I don't know. वो has seen the meaning of Income Tax Act 1961. But I give you some background first, and that's a research base, and I have written an article also. If you compare why, by the way, if you compare why Income Tax Act 1961 was introduced and what were the objectives for introduction of 1961 Act when there was already an Act of Income Tax Act 1922. So उधर भी तीन objectives थे same simplification, concise करना है, complicated हो गया law over the period. जब Income Tax Act 1922 खत्म हो रहा था तो already Australia एक ही provisions बन चुके थे. इतने सारे एक्सटेंशन डाल दिए थे, इतने वेरिफिकेशन डाल दिए थे, तो वो कॉम्प्लिकेट हो गया था. तो ये तीन ऑब्जेक्टिव के साथ लॉ को रिप्लेस किया है. सो द ऑब्जेक्टिव्स इवन आफ्टर 6 decades, that is almost 56 years, 65 years remains same. So whenever you are changing the law, technically you will feel that the objectives are same. जब भी मैंने लॉ लाया था तो मेरा आइडिया इसको सिम्प्लीफाई करना. लोगों को easy पढ़ने में आए. Not only professionals but the laymen should also understand the law, testify the profession, so that they are able to comply with it. So 1922 में भी वही था. उस टाइम में 24 61 एक प्रॉब्लम्स थी. All sections were scattered here and there in 22. So in 61 they made chapters. जैसा आप देखोगे जितने भी directions थे सब chapters कितने में क्लब कर दिया गया. तो एक चैप्टर वाइज क्या था. सेक्शन 10.22 क्या था. जितने भी एग्जामिनेशन देखी गई है उस पर सेक्शन 10 आप डाल दो. Pencil, 10, 1, 10, so and so forth, they can not it. So that was done very quickly to 1961. 180 provisions है उसको reduce किया और 90 provisions को ले गया. So when income tax act 1961 was introduced, there are only 90 provisions which over a period of 60 days went into 1200 provisions. 1023 scheme में ही 23 provision हो चुके हैं. इसने 1023 scheme को scrap करना था first April 2024 से. कि this will not be applicable. कोई इतने provisions increase हो गए हैं और you were not able to actually read it. Even I, after so many years of that tax practice, if I want to read it, I literally have to come. कि 5th provision, 6th provision, 7th provision. अगर आपने कोई law कोड कर दिया तो mistake होगी. तो so complicated the law हुआ. So again, from 180 they got into 90 in 1961. It has now reached to 1200. So they felt it necessary I can go back. From 1200 they have come down to 0. All those provisions they are converted into sections, subsections, sub-clauses. Of course, जब वो करने लगे income tax bills में बहुत सारी mistake हो गई. क्योंकि जब आप provision पेपर provision होता है, is an exclusion from the main section. Just like give an example of audit body, section 288. 288 में कहा गया है कि अगर auditor is an intended for more than 1 lakh, he cannot do a tax audit. वो एक provision के सुना, this limit will apply of only 1 lakh. If it is less than 1 lakh, he can continue to do it audit. जब इस provision को section में होता है, तो ऐसा हो गया अगर less than 1 lakh है, तो audit नहीं कर सकता. More than 1 lakh का intended है, तो you can do it. So such anomalies errors occur in the original bill when they converted provisions into sections. But when it was read, suggestions went from the various stakeholders including ICT and divided over a period of time. And before it became an act, it was implemented. After income tax act, this is the only act which before implementation is getting amended. If you see, first income tax act 2025 is introduced from 1st April 2026. और फर्स्ट अप्रैल 2026 से जब इंप्लीमेंट हो रहा है उसके पहले ही हमें हो चुका है बाय फाइनेंस एक्ट 2026 फाइनेंस एक्ट 2026 से हमें हो चुका है. So this is the only act which has been amended before it got implemented. But yes, it had to be because the policy level changes are only done through budget. As I mentioned earlier, it was decided that it will be done through budget, not through any other provision of the act. So that is the background. So, of course, I will tell whether this 1200 provisions which has been removed, whether it will be reintroduced over a period of time. And please keep it in mind, law is evolving. We are living in a country where the laws are being interpreted by professionals like chartered accountants and lawyers, and you are put to a question to read before the judiciary then how the law has to be interpreted. It's not a country like US where 90% of law administered करता है. वो जो एक बार न्यू बना लेता है उसको लोग एक्सेप्ट कर लेते हैं. हमारे यहाँ जब सिस्टम 87 ए का कैलकुलेशन करके डिबेट डिजाइन करा था शॉर्ट टर्म कैपिटल गेन्स पे, we challenged it. It does not express in a major countries of the EU. And if you try to challenge, 90% of people lose a case before the higher forums when it comes to the other countries. It's a reverse situation in India. If you compare India's update records, the aesthetic and favor 80 to 90% case. So we are tuned to such an era wherein any provision brought in by the government we will not accept easily. We apply or we find it is an application of right because it's a so it may result in way that during a period of this evolution, you may find something difficult, you may go to judiciary, and if department models possesses, they may to cover up, they will feel the objective of that section is not achieved. So what I will do is I will clarify it through provision. I'll give an explanation, I'll make an amendment. So it may happen, nobody knows today, that if again this law becomes a complicated over a period of time, and why I'm saying that, On the very first meeting on 18th of November 2024, Indian Revenue Secretary Society was very clearly told us, boss, आप उसको challenge. It's the people you challenge and therefore, over a period of time, you have to love it. He also gave an example. You are challenging notices. That jurisdiction is not kind, notice is valid, invalid. So these are all the procedures. If the lawyer fraternity or the professional fraternity like say do not challenge all those and actually go on the facts, then probably law may not become complicated over a period of time. But fine, we are going to challenge. We are in the country where after 100 years of application of the law, it was so that added the law is an unconstitutional law. So many people were hacked on it. But it was said it is an unconstitutional. So we'll try to live with all this. And so with this background, I thought, which is very important for any income tax in 2025, why it was introduced, you should know it. Any questions for now? If anybody has any questions at any point of time, you can please escalate to me. I'll try to answer. So these are the basics. I'll just go. The very important significant amendments which are taken place in decriminalization. किसी ने कहा है decriminalization कर बजट स्पीच हुआ क्या है आई एम श्योर और इस बजट में सबसे बड़ी चीज रही है decriminalization. There are 37 offences in 1961 which has an arrest provisions, prosecution provisions. 37. And I was part of a tax reforms group of India. और इंस्टीट्यूट में तो क्या करे ही देगा इनके अभी also know sometimes if ICI is giving a recommendation it takes 2 to 3 years but if the Niti Aayog gives a recommendation it happens in 12 months because the chairman of the Niti Aayog is Prime Minister himself. The CEO may be an IAS officer but the chairman itself is a think tank of the Prime Minister's office basically and I was part of those tax reforms group. So what we did is we made a paper and said that these 37 offences were decriminalized. Only 5 or 7 important, wherein there is actually a fraud which has happened, and these have been made in nature of malevolent intention to cheat somebody. Only the prosecution should be made. That effort has been done. You will see in this budget, even from assessment and police amendments have been made majorly for decriminalization. When I talk of decriminalization means कि काफी लोग ने थे पहले तो रिटर्न रिप्लेसमेंट से सिंबल कर दिया 5 years से 2 years कर दिया and imprisonment is not compulsory it can be converted into fee or fine whatever you may say so it has been decriminalized that is a major step which has been taken and this was in line with there was an act which was introduced called General Discharge Act. General Discharge Act ने क्या किया था wherever जितने भी laws together maybe the words of the last. जितने भी criminal provisions थे, कुछ General Discharge Act, वो सब criminal provisions को decriminalize एक ये. So ये government का law view है that we should decriminalize it. Immunity for underreporting, and then there are many things, very important changes which have taken place when we go to the individual provisions where you also talk about it. I've already covered this in my initial speech. What are the key features of the income tax? And it's a simplified tax provisions, reduce legal disputes, enhance oversight and efficient tax reforms, taxpayers and free tax flows. This are the objectives. Obviously, how much it is time will tell. ये एक broad view है. कितने redemptions हुए, chapters कितने कम हो गए, sections कितने कम हो गए. Of course, when you are talking of sections 819, you have already heard about it. That 298 में से 819 section थे पहले टाइम. क्योंकि आप देखो कि section 115 में कितना है. Serial number 115 है. A, B, BBA, BBC, BBD. I also don't remember. Schedule that we use. जैसे TDS जितने सेक्शन थे 194 उसको schedule में कन्वर्ट कर दिया 393 के. So section 393 now contains a schedule, a table form that what is threshold, what is rate of tax, what are traditional. And I think so this is the I remember most of us, if anybody asks what is the TDS rate applicable under 194 tradition, हमारे यहाँ पे भी हमारे ऑफिस में भी एक टैक्स रेट का रिटर्न है जो हम लगा रहे हैं. Generally, we do not refer to an act because if I have to refer to act, I have to read one whole page, maybe 5-6 paragraphs, and then determine what are the conditions. That particular reference gives me an ease So they thought that evidence people are referring to schedules. Why do you not like convert the provision from the law itself into schedules? A lot of things have been converted into schedules. Rules and problem. Something important change the forms. Those who know forms very soon. The requirements very soon. 15 CS के requirement है form equal. Taxonomy की requirement है 3CA 3CB को merge करके form level. So they merged a lot of forms. This is good. Like, do anyone thought of 399 forms? Extra बदले इसको पता था? कभी सोचा था 399 forms है इंटरनेशनल? ऐसा कौन सा फॉर्म होगा जो हम सबने यूज किया हो? कई ऐसे फॉर्म हो गए जो इससे हमने देखे ही नहीं है कभी. कभी यूज तो कोई ना कोई एक तो करता होगा इसलिए वो फॉर्म है. But majority of the professors would have not used more than 100 forms. When our certifications, but they essentially small. But if auditor certification was remained, they will be a usage somewhere or other. So it's a huge change. Now I will come to specific changes of format of changes, section wise I'll go later. I am just trying to give certain examples of the changes have been made, what are the nature of changes. So first change is the change of language. Change of language मतलब जहाँ पे भी notwithstanding anything contained in the provisions after the section 43 नहीं आया है. Notwithstanding anything contained in any other provision of the act has been replaced by irrespective of anything of containing contained. 152 places they were in this. So notwithstanding anything irrespective. English dictionary meaning no change. They felt that notwithstanding anything contained in the legal journal. Whereas irrespective of जो हर language a general literature of English में you will find it and it will become easy to understand and therefore they replace it. But of course जब lawyers के पास आता है chartered accountants के पास बोलते हैं क्यों change किया है? Notwithstanding का interpretation goes further by various code of law. So why you want to change it and disturb this particular provision? So they felt it necessary. My personal view really actually the language is same. It does not make any difference. Similarly, without prejudice. 62 places पे use हुआ था. Now it is restricted only to 27 places. You know what you mean by without prejudice. So you give your right to challenge anything. Subject को हम हमारे responses में बहुत बार use करते हैं. Am I right? So if reopening हो रही है, तो I will challenge jurisdiction. I will challenge this, and then I will say without prejudice for. So I reserve my right to challenge those notices. Not foregoing those rights, I am submitting an information for the purpose of my assessment. But my right to challenge that remains. So without prejudice, we do use, it was very used in the act also, they have been trying to reduce wherever possible. 1200 provisions, 900 explanations have been removed. There are no more. क्यों explanation क्या करना था? कहीं जगह पे explanation define करता. Define any particular word or phrase for the purpose of that particular section. Now, such certifications have been moved to section 2, which is the vague definition section or an interpretation section. So now, at every particular section, you will not find any explanations. Cabinet formats को use किया गया है. As I said, I give an example of KDS 393 and 394, two sections where they have introduced tables only. And you believe me, क्रॉस रेफरेंसिंग इतनी इंपॉर्टेंट होगी और मैंने रियलाइज किया जब हम केवल ऐसे बूस्टर पढ़ने जाते तो कोई इनकार ऐसे है तो it's becoming more difficult. Of course, we are not used to it because 393 pages तो वापस ऊपर स्पेस में टेबल चलता है और जब टेबल क्रॉसओवर करता है पेज पे तो you lose all the text. You know when you say answer presentation with a tabulation, you actually cannot go into. So you take so many mistakes, but those mistakes have been rectified over a period of time between build and act and after act also when you convert it into a after build and act 2026 also. Similarly, other provisions have been also converted into tabulation forms. जैसे presumptive income. अभी जितने भी presumptive incomes हैं, कोई उसको ये टेबल में incorporate कर दिया है. Formulas, these are the examples. If you take demerger 219 AA defines demergers. And in case of demergers, what will be the calculation of assets of demerger? के लिए एक formula था C आप पढ़िए खाली इतना लंबा. In cases other than those referred to in clause A, clause B. Now what is clause A, clause B पढ़ने जाओ. so much of the amounts of general or multipurpose borrowing, if any, of the demerged company as stated, as kept in same proportion with the value of assets transferred in demerger banks to total value. If you read this, can you apply the formula? इतना confusion है उन्हें करना क्या है activity. So what they have done is they have converted the sentence into a formula. Then this is simple. N is equal to K into L divided by N. What is N? What is K? What is L? What is M? N is a real. So they are trying to simplify by introducing such formulas at various places. कैसे मुझे कैलकुलेशन करना आप पढ़ो मत पढ़ने के बाद इंटरप्रिटेशन कर रहे हैं नॉर्मली एन के पहले और एन के बाद में चेंजेस एवरीथिंग definitions accounted I've already said. So major of the definitions have been now cleared in the section 2. Let's just take an example of last item, senior citizen. Senior citizen was defined as 4 places. Section 80 के लिए senior citizen क्या होता है? For purpose of this section, senior citizen is so and so. 80 DDP, TTP, and 194A. The definition was same for all the 4 sections, but it was appearing at the individual levels. So if in particular section it was not defined, you didn't know, मुझे कहाँ पे होता है? There may be other sections which are relevant for the senior citizen, but it was not defined in those sections. So what they have done, now they have defined senior citizen in the definition section itself. Whenever one senior citizen appears in the income tax act 2025, you have to refer the definition given in section 2. Age remains the same, there is no change for that. So it has been consolidated at one particular place. So this is why the important 3 areas of the changes in the report. Now I try to discuss certain important sections also which have changed. Tax year, intelligent appearance, it's right or wrong. Everybody knows that one listen. खुश है कि गलत नीति हो गया ना हाँ पहले असेसमेंट ईयर फाइनेंशियल ईयर जब लाइक को बिल भेजो तो बोलेंगे 26 27 तो चला गया अभी क्या बिल दिया एफआई के बोलो ये एफआई के भेजो ये असेसमेंट के उसको समझ में नहीं आता. So there was so much confusion. I think so this confusion will remain for another 1 year because we will raise bill for AY 26 27 and also for tax year 26 27. So you will have to clarify that this AY 26 27 was for financial year 25. But it's good common taxpayer. Conversion of schedules. जितने भी सेक्शन 10 की इनकम सी जो सेक्शन 10 पर सब क्लॉज 1 से लेकर 38 तक जाती और फर्दर भी ऐड होती गई 42 तक पहुंच गई. Now they have been converted into schedules with a very logical conversion. For an example, if I take exact income of non-residents, अगर मुझे non-resident का रिटर्न भरना है तो as of day वो कितने exemptions मिलते हैं. Technically I have to wait all. See the index. Non-residents के लिए क्या applicable है? हाँ ये बात section applicable है. फिर उस पांच को भरूं मेरा non-resident उसका फिर होता है कि नहीं होता है? Am I right? I have to do that. Now, this is very simple. Whatever exemptions to non-resident, you go to schedule 4, you will get everything. Okay, so clause 4, so clause 6, 6A, 6B, 15, 8, everything has to be included in this particular schedule. Future में कोई amendment add करना है या remove करना है तो भी कोई schedule में ही होगा. So, benefit non-resident को उसी में आए. I need not refer all the provisions of the law. You कई बार आज तक कभी ऐसा हो रहा है telling you bring even in our big offices I am telling you, there will be so many provisions of this benefit people are not. Unless candidate comes over notice to such seminars, and then ATWJ, employees, additional employees will be added to that to take special direction, even if the new entry. I will tell you most of people are not. If you can't say, नहीं मिले देखो, यहाँ ये भी आता है, intersection double introduce हो गया. Even I do not reflect even after being in the practice for so many years. So not actually. I leave the schedules में आ जाएगी redemption और exemption. तो थोड़ा ease of preference तो बढ़ेगा. Salaries, these are the old sections and the new sections. Of course, I am not going to here because we will not recollect those sections. But my presentation will be circulated amongst the members. Probably you will have a comparison chart available. Definitely you already have a books income tax act और जिस बार institute ने भी बनाई है जिसका पूरा mapping दिया हुआ है. So I have just tried to in my slides also do that comparison and then proceed on what are the significant amendments which I think we should discuss about it. So these are the new sections, old section. In deductions from salaries है जितने भी सेक्शन स्पेक में मिलते थे वो एक सेक्शन 19 में कंसोलिडेट कर दिया है सिमिलर like gratuity, commuted pensions, fixed salary, all those are exempted under 10A. Now they will be available as a deduction under section 91. So what is the change? इसमें कोई change दिया है? Exam की complete section 10 है. Now it is available as a deduction under section 19. वैसे कोई change नहीं है. लेकिन change क्या है हमारे जब इनकम एग्जाम होती है तो आप ग्रॉस में इनकम नहीं करते हो एग्जाम इनकम रिपोर्ट करते हो और जब डिडक्टेबल इसका मतलब क्या होगा ग्रॉस में इंक्लूड होगी और फिर उसका डिडक्शन मिलेगा so your presentation is going to change because now with the deduction it's not an income which will not form part of total income so once you पहले तो आप total income में include ही नहीं करते अब आप include करके उसका deduction claim करोगे so ये change हो जाती है. So your presentation, when you are drawing a return of income who is a salary, there will be a net income remains it. There will not any benefit out of it. But please keep it in mind. So just changing this, there is a small change. Probably they want to know then what is the gross income of the person and what is the level of deduction inside it. पहले तो पता ही नहीं चलता था 1 करोड़ की इनकम ग्रॉस इनकम 50,000 मिलती पहले तो था पीएफ पे restriction आ गई otherwise तो पहले before some there was no restriction whatever contribution of employee also was been not included it was treated as exempt now still included in extra exemption आ गई tenant exemption no change small changes entertainment allowance to allow the so be allowable that's a only small change which has happened I'll not go into much detail employees contribution to PF which I said current provision says if any 12% and more is contributed zero on to add member so it has to be this that has been removed मतलब अगर आप 50% contribute करोगे तो भी allow होगा you have gone to an old regime but why very right to people because there is already a limit of 7,50,000 francs जब 7.5 लाख तो ऊपर तो अगर एंट्री गया रिस्पेक्ट टू परसेंटेज 12% 20% 70% अलाउ नहीं होता है so now they have removed that upper cap limit above beyond 12% is now it's 12% only but 7,50,000 की limit interest above 9.5% if any given by the trust of those employees contribution was an exempt and that remains among that 0.5% was taxable that continues as it is. So no change to that effect. So only changes the upper limit about 12% has been removed because 7,50,000 की जो overall capping है that is already there. Now some people would be very who were contributing more than 12%, but their overall contribution was within 7,50,000. There was a discount factor. मतलब टैक्सल हो रहा था इधर नहीं कर रहा था अरे 50% कंट्रीब्यूशन हुआ तो 3% के एडिशनल नहीं मिलता था पहले भले मेरा 7.5 लाख के अंदर पूरे साल का मेरी सैलरी वाज 50 lakhs per annum so 12.5 of 3% will not move your 7.5 lakhs so it was 7.5 lakhs still it was been this love to the extent of 3% now I get that so if I have a salary of 50 lakhs and I contribute 50% which is 7.5 lakhs in today's time it would be completely around in the old law, in the new law, in the old law, 3% of 50% data would be disallowed. So ये benefit जरूर दिया. Actual XRA, there were 3 conditions. Then one of the conditions was that it should not exceed 50% of salary for the period of occupation, where the accommodation is Bombay, Calcutta, Delhi or Madras. No change for Bombay. That condition has been now extended to certain other cities, which is Hyderabad, Pune, Hyderabad, and Bangalore. Otherwise, don't change. हमारे लिए कुछ भी नहीं. Certain education allowance, which was 100 per month, has been increased to 3,000. Hostel allowance from 300 per month to 9,000 per month per child up to a major relief which has come by way of income tax rules 2026. Similarly, the transport allowance, suppose the transport allowance is for a particular category of people who are physically challenged. It's not applicable to everybody. It has been increased from 3,200 per month to 15,000 plus DNS allowance. So that all will be exempt in case of certain class of employees who are physically disabled. Then, of course, motor car isme itna PM, there are certain change of the rates, but one clarification have come that electric vehicle, participants जब ये calculate करा है कोई employer fee में कार मिल रहा है employee को, तो participants में add होता है, right? और participants are based on the capacity of the engine per month amount is prescribed in the rules. Electric vehicles के लिए नहीं था. तो electric vehicles को one of the lowest that it will be treated less than 1.6 cc for the purpose of calculation of participants. That has come. Similarly, again, free concessional education. अगर मेरे बच्चों का if I am an employee और मेरे बच्चों को education के पेमेंट employer करता है तो वो मेरी participants में add होता था. Now that has been increased. Exemption has been increased to the extra from 1,000 per month to 3,000 per month. So if I am an employer of some external company, if they pay school fees of my child, it was exempt up to 12,000 per annum. Now it would be exempt up to 33,000. Intensity of concessional 20,000 से 2 lakh रुपए तक exempt. Excellent. Only if project calculation is out there, concession is there. So if I am taking a housing loan from my employer, I get a concessional interest. So market rate is 8%. They charge me 2% my interest. So I have a 6% interest rate. The 6% was treated as percent. I don't know how many of people really actually calculate that. Unless some person, some company itself just do the calculation involves 60 of DSR, then otherwise, हमारे हाथ में आगे वाला on the regulations. So, but that exemption up to 20,000 of pesticides, it was not taxable. Now it will be black. So it's a 10 times substantial relief again. ये सब income tax act 2025 है और ये सब rules के हुआ है. This is not relevant for assessment year 26, 27 जो old law में ही है. Similarly, sodium coupons 51 milligram exemption का वो 200 rupees करते हैं. और एक important चीज. आज की तारीख में for year 26 it was only available in the new regime available नहीं था. It was not available in the new regime. Now it's available under the old regime also. Old. मतलब अगर मैं exemption में जाऊँ तब तो था. लेकिन exemption claim नहीं करना था तो new regime with the additional benefit को available नहीं था. दोनों में available. So B coupons are now available. But of course 2,400. Yeah, I believe of course there was some strong reason I really believe so next to all that to school revisit करता था. तो हो गया उसका काम. Similarly, value of the gift has been increased. So I welcome to PGBP. Profit and gains of business. First 2-3 slides only give a comparison of these sections. I just give those. This is for the future relevance. Important. 32.12a. आपको पता है क्या? जिस year में मैं machinery acquire करता हूँ, तो generally machinery के ऊपर जो भी depreciation है, उसको मुझे additional depreciation. Correct. So additional depreciation to the extent of 20%. If it is used for less than 6 months, 10% or balance 10% next month. Now they have put a condition of they have introduced first the new plant or machinery is first put to use by the assessee for the business. इसका मतलब क्या?
Trial run also covered.
नहीं, first मतलब मुझे पहली बार यूज करना है. मतलब पहले किसी ने यूज कर दिया तो पहले क्या होता था कि सेकेंड मशीन करता था मेरे लिए तो न्यू मशीन थी. So it should be first used. It should not be used first put to use by for business purpose. इसका मतलब it should not be used for any purpose. Let's say example very vehicle नहीं. पहले तो मेरे personal use के लिए उसको depreciation नहीं थी. And not claim it. After 2 years of running, I transfer that company that vehicle to my partnership board. Can take my example. मेरे फॉर्म को मैं दे देता. तो उनके लिए तो न्यू एसेट है. But it is not first put to use for the business. It is used after 2 years. So technically I will not get any additional depreciation. So this restrictions 29 I have already covered. So I'll go ahead. ये बहुत एक important चीज. ये पहली बार मैंने देखा कि जो सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने किया उसको रिवर्स किया इन द बेनिफिट ऑफ बिजनेस. ऐसा क्लेम गिव्स then वो आपको पता है एक नोटिस का इजलास हुआ कि whether a business of the officer can issue a notice or is resolution and the high court said it is not fair. So what they have done, they have amended the law retrospectively from 1st April 2021. Similarly, there was a dispute that wherever the bill is not mentioned in any of the notices, those are paid. High Court fell in your favor, and legislature has amended that law from effective from 1st April 2021, which is again under a change. What will happen to that? We'll see over a period of. Now, this is the change where they have amended the law from a perspective that is 1st April 26, not for event 26. A Supreme Court was against PSSC, but they are giving the what? Employees leadership of the आपको text में इतना पता है. We are reporting what is an employee's leadership which I have collected from an employee and I have to deposit within 15 days. अगर 15 days के अंदर आप उसको deposit नहीं करते तो वो जैसा होता है कि नहीं होता है. अगर आपने due date of filing की detail तक बढ़ गया तो जैसा होगा चलो किसमें था. Employees election 43B से cover है कि section 36(1) clause 5(BA) से cover है. ये distinction है. Lot of people were saying that 43B starts with notwithstanding anything related and contribution to a specific employer, any employee का contribution भी cover है. That was the view taken and High Court said in your favor. Lot of people consider that कोई High Court मैं तो नहीं. Supreme Court says sorry. Employees' leadership, if not paid within 2 days, is a permanent misservice. Permanent मतलब कभी आपको allow होगा ही. This was an unfortunate event against the SSC. तो अगर 15 दिन आपने डिपॉजिट नहीं किया उसके 16वें दिन आप डिपॉजिट करो तो भी आपका परमानेंट misservice हो गया. क्योंकि वो मेरी इनकम भी नहीं है. बुक्स में तो लाइबिलिटी बनती है और मैं डिपॉजिट कर रहा हूँ. मेरी इनकम ही नहीं है कि उसका मेरे को लॉस परमानेंट हो रहा है और मैं फ्यूचर में दे रहा हूँ. Now they have amended that. They have said this is if you deposit it before filing due date of the event, it will be at this. So permanent discounts निकाल दिया. So this is a beneficial amendment done to favor the in favor of SSC and demonstrate the Supreme Court judgment which was against the SSC. तो मैंने आपको कहा वैसे there is fair to that extent. 37(1)43B में उसको इंक्लूड कर दिया गया है. These are the just amendment in section. With reduction now from 1st April 26, not for AY 26/27. AY 26/27 में अगर कोई मिले तो आपको डिस्कस ऐसे ही करना है. अगले साल से नहीं करूंगा. ये एक मेजर चीज. Section 44 AD/AB now has been replaced to section 58. AD को 58 में कर दिया जो टेबल बन गया है. 44 AD section 60. I'll just ask you a question. As of today, if any new SSC has a turnover less than 3 crores, 3 crores is the limit prescribed under 44A. Am I right? Just presuming everything is a check business or 95% and more, no cash. So I limit is 3 crores. If I offer 5%, 50 lakhs, so we only requirement is 6% or 8%. So my turnover, I am an eligible SSC. My turnover is within the limits prescribed under 44A. I do not offer fixed percentage of 6 or 8%. Whether audit is required? No. No. Supposing in the previous year, I had already a benefit of 44A. But मेरा turnover 3 crore था और मेरी profit थी 21 lakhs, 7%. लेकिन मैंने 44A का benefit दिया और 80 lakhs offer किया 6%. अगले साल में मैं जब डाक को बेच तो मेरी जब प्रॉफिट 15 लाख होती है तो मैं एक्चुअल 15 लाख ऑफर कर तो वाली थी because you are okay so this position was reversed from 2017 में एक amendment हुआ था. उसके पहले क्या होता था? It was compulsory for you to offer 6 or 8. If you are not offering 6 or 8, 6 तो 8% का 8%, then the audit was mandatory. 2017 में amendment हुआ कि अगर आपने कभी भी पहले 44A नहीं दी और if you are a first time SSC or you continue to pay an SSC who is offering more than 8% no benefit taken under 44A, then no audit was required unless you were opting out of your own condition and 44A का वापस अगले 5 साल तक benefit नहीं है. Now in income tax act 2025 was that they want for position before 2017. So from financial year 26/27, if any SSC who turnover is less than 3 crores, if you are not offering 6%, audit is compulsory. So audit of 1%. But it will work, I'm telling you, because if you want to offer less, it's a new business. New business will generally loss you also that.
It's a policy change, na share.
It's a policy change.
Policy change.
It's a for every state, there is policy change, policy change. लेकिन छोटी छोटी tweaking हुई है जब 3-4 आप सेक्शन देखोगे तो उसका हुई है so probably they want those people also to be now compulsory body. Of course, the view of ours was very नहीं होना चाहिए. I'm just taking an example now. Person having a turnover of 3 crores, if you offer 50 lakhs, you are at the audit. If my turnover is 10 crores, 9 crores, 99 lakhs, 99,999, I offer 1%. Whether audit applicable? No. तो 3 करोड़ वाले को जो 15 लाख ऑफर कर रहा है उससे भी ऑडिट है 9 करोड़ के टर्नओवर के वाले के बाद जिसके पास 9 lakhs profit only 1% कर रहा है उसको ऑडिट so there is a discrimination in the company but yes it remains it goes for position of 2017 वो लेकिन था इससे 2017 में अमेंडमेंट किया गया और उनको ऑडिट से बाहर निकाला गया but now again it has been introduced I can only tell the number of audits लगेंगे वो Mumbai city में तो पता नहीं कि I will tell you that this cities में तो audits number will go up like anything. Again the numbers will go. Second, एक other important thing हुआ presumptive taxation. If you read presumptive taxation, as you know, if I am opting 6% or 8%, then it is assumed that all deductions are deemed to be allowed. Deductions from section 30 to 38. Current section 30 to 38 आपको various deductions allowed. Deductions, allowances, expenditure, charge, legislation में आ गया, gratuity भी आ गया, commission में general expense भी आ गया, सब deemed allowed था और कुछ भी आपको उसके बाद allowed नहीं होता. Now that language has been amended. Now what it says, instead of 30 to 38, it says corresponding to section 58 provides that any loss or allowance or deduction allowable under the provisions of the Act shall not be allowed. So I will take an example. मेरे 2 बिजनेस एक रिजर्वेटिव इनकम है एक रेगुलर बिजनेस रिजर्वेटिव इनकम में 3 करोड़ का टर्नओवर मैंने 15 लाख टैक्स ऑफर 15 लाख प्रॉफिट दूसरा बिजनेस में मैं ऑडिट कर रहा हूं टर्नओवर 11 करोड़ है बट लॉस 15 लाख whether I could do a set of business and no intra-head क्या है presumptive income में एक presumption है deduction allowable under section 32 38 बाकी का कोई प्रिजम्पशन नहीं है लॉस तो दूसरे बिजनेस से लॉस आ रहा है वो तो मैं करूंगा ना इंट्रा हेड अगर सब्जेक्ट टू सेक्शन 30 71 72 अगर इंट्रा हेड अलाउ बिल्कुल अलाउ इंटर हेड अलाउ बिल्कुल अलाउ then नहीं है तो नहीं whatever but इंट्रा हेड तो नहीं है I would have now the restriction for the living others it would be subject to all laws allowed everything is deemed to be allowed no further allowance would happen मतलब जो living income के 15 लाख के ऊपर टैक्स डायरेक्ट भरना है irrespective of other business में so this is the impact of this amendment. So it may sound that section 32 38 was but now it has been increased the scope and it impacts a lot of people I am telling you there could be a cooperative concern having a 3 businesses वो एक बड़ी dispute है कि मेरी retail business है medical अलग है general अलग है और अलग है और तीनों business में different position. One can be profit, one can be loss, and I used to do a research. So once I know any of the business I gave a presumptive income and want to offer a tax, I want to buy these because there is already a loss which is going to be adjusted. Now it would be allowed from possible 26. Yes.
So it is vis-a-vis business or vis-a-vis SFI?
I would say it's vis-a-vis business, my personal view, not SSC. I can have a session on 4480 for owner. There are so many disputes, it's vis-a-vis business. So every two, if I have 2 business, one can fall under presumptive income and another I can still continue to do an audit. And for that purpose, my guidance not clarifies. That turnover मुझे नहीं पकड़ रहा. So अगर मेरे एक business का turnover 3 करोड़ है, दूसरे का 9 करोड़ है, और 3 करोड़ को मैंने presumptive में डाल दिया, तो दूसरे business की audit करनी है नहीं करनी है? क्या मुझे 9+ की add तो audit करनी है? अपना guidance not I go by my guidance. But there are views which people say that 9+ 3 equal. So audit तो करनी पड़ेगी आप. फिर उस 3 crores को आप presumptive में डालो, balance 9 crores की audit करो. But my guidance not clarify that. And when something my guidance not says, for the purpose of turnover, it is accepted by student. There is a judgment there, I don't remember right now. KK Power or something like that. They said that the guidance notes issued, of course, it's not on guidance or on tax. Then the High Court is on tax on it specifically or no. It says that when the turnover is not defined in Income Tax Act, it is neither defined anywhere else. Then what is stated in the guidance note should be followed by this. Because it is made by a body of experts who are experts in accounting. So you go back and say, yes.
The FNO laws should be adjusted for previous one.
नहीं होगा ना अब तो नहीं होगा FNO is an another business activity so it will not happen अभी वो एक अलग dispute है वो तो current dispute है कि FNO should be eligible for 44A होना चाहिए
नहीं हो सकता होना चाहिए एक्सक्लूजन नहीं है
एक्सक्लूजन ये तो होना चाहिए इनफैक्ट एक कमेटी बनी थी इसके लिए कि FNO को एसएफटी specified financial transaction ये including नहीं होगा अगेन आई वाज पार्ट ऑफ कमिटी और मैंने खुद ने बोला क्या आप उसको डालो और एक क्लैरिफाई करो कि 44A FNO is ineligible but they didn't need it so ऐसा क्योंकि वो इनका ये कहना है कि 44A already tells that whichever is higher you have to offer. So if you are in FNO, if you can derive from a broker statement that what is my profit, and if you can compute without maintaining books of accounts, then what's the problem? Then you can anyway is not eligible for 44A. Capital gains, again, I'm just moving into a section, but loss carry forward, only loss will be carried forward independently, but it will be adjusted against non-presumptive income losses. It will be adjusted against the same business or any other business which is not from a presumptive income. That will be permissible under section 71 का जो भी level से. Then going to capital gains, a charging section 45 one में amendment है. एक दो reference है charging section. As you know, every section has a charging section and then there is a computation rule. Section 45 is currently a charging section which charges the tax same as otherwise provided in these certain exemption provisions. तो उसमें से जब ये नया सेक्शन कन्वर्ट हुआ 67 में तो जो सेविंग थी वो दो सेक्शन को रिमूव हो गई. Section reference to section 85 and 88 which deals with the bonds and which deals with the investment in case of shifting of industrial undertaking. जब मैं शिफ्ट करता था कैपिटल गेन होता था मैं भी इन्वेस्ट करता था यूनिट तो 54 GA में करेक्ट. So 54 GA और 54 EC के corresponding sections है but it does not include as a saving provision in section 45. Again this is an anomaly according to it which will be rectified over a period of time. Buyback को तो आपने मेरे ख्याल से बजट में डिस्कस कर ही लिया. The very important change of buyback now of course from assessment in 26, 27 and the implementation in 2025 is buyback will be again charged as a capital. बीच में 2 साल के लिए क्या हो गया था? Now they realize that they should not go beyond any other stimulus. Procedures by their changes. It's a realization that they cannot go beyond any other central act. Companies Act is a central act. Wherein buyback amounts to a capital reduction. It's one of the method of capital reduction in case of profits. In case of loss, you have a different provision. So one of these central acts says a buyback is a capital receipt. Then how can I treat it as an income for the purpose of income tax? They have realized that. And if you see this amendments and wherever many places, wherever the definitions are now provided, they have said definition provided in any other central act. So they have given a definition for central act. They have appreciated that yes, it's a capital case. तो जो मेरे को पहले लॉस जो मेरी कॉस्ट ऑफ शेयर्स थी जिसका मुझे लॉस की बेनिफिट नहीं होती थी वो मिलेगी बिकॉज कॉस्ट minus consideration of buyback would be taxed as a capital gain. So tax rate would be 12.5%. But to an exception to the promoters. Promoters as defined under the Companies Act, जिसकी 10% से ज़्यादा शेयर होती है. Promoters के case में tax rate will be full tax rate. They will not get any concession. So 12.5 अगर promoter individual है तो 12.5 plus 17.5 मतलब 30% tax rate pay करनी है as a citizen regular income not a capital gains. Similarly to the promoters the company जिनको 22% tax करती है तो उनको 12.5 plus 9.5 पे करना है. The only difference is कि capital gain हो गया, tax rate promoters को changing. So of course I don't know why promoters were excluded. Probably they don't want to lose revenue because it has been seen whenever the buyback happens, the major amount goes to the promoters obviously. So they didn't want to lose that revenue to that extent. So there is an additional tax brought in, and this will continue for both the tax debtors. If certain assets are acquired by the government under a particular act which is to be called Right to Fair Compensation and Transparency in Land Acquisition, Rehabilitation and Resettlement, is an exempt from tax. And that act says that notwithstanding anything contained in any other act. But Income Tax Act did not provide for such a thing. उस एक्ट में था हम लोग एग्जेम्पशन क्लेम भी कर रहे थे जब जैसे लैंड एक्वायर हो रहा था ये एयरपोर्ट से लैंड एक्वायर हुए मुंबई नागपुर एक्सप्रेस वे भी जब भी लैंड एक्वायर हो वो सब आरटी आरएससीटीएलए डबल आर एग्जांपल सिमिलर प्रोविजन इनकम टैक्स में इनकम टैक्स में उन्होंने एक सिमिलरिटी सर्कुलर लाया था exempting such cases which are otherwise covered in this particular act. But there was no provision in the Income Tax Act 2025. Now that provision has been introduced in the Income Tax Act 2025. But one difference, unfortunately, CBDT circular was applicable to all persons. And Income Tax Act talks about individual or taxation. So for an example, company owning a land which is acquired under this particular act, RSCPLA double R, that exemption is not available under the Income Tax Act. But of course, what then that CBDT circular has not been withdrawn, and he can still claim an exemption under that CBDT circular. But unfortunately, Act does not provide for that. So it may lead to a limitation to that extent. Sir, इसमें एक slide missing a very important which I would like to cover. 54 easy way. You may remember, I'll just give you an example. In case of a depreciable asset, whenever I am selling an asset, that asset is hold for more than 2 years. So it's a long-term capital asset. लेकिन क्योंकि वो ब्लॉक का पार्ट था, तो उसकी WDV में से जितना भी मुझे कंसिडरेशन आता था, I used to reduce from WDV. Whatever is the excess, it was taxed under capital gains as long-term capital gains, and you used to pay full taxation. That was the law. Am I right? No, it was not like that. That was not like that. If you read, you have 112, and also you read 54 AC because दोनों important है. उसमें wordings चलते थे. Unfortunately, I don't know why that slide is not that. That it could be for the purpose of 54 AC and section 112. It does not say it says long-term capital gain arising from a long-term capital asset. It was the words that long-term capital gain. Now, there was interpretation made by court of law. Bombay High Court by judgment, so that was a judgment stating that assets remain a long term. खाली कैलकुलेशन के लिए सेक्शन 15 क्योंकि आपने रजिस्ट्रेशन क्लेम कर लिया है तो आपको WDV माइनस कंसीडरेशन के ऊपर टैक्स दो लेकिन उसके अगेंस्ट 54 इसी का बेनिफिट करेगा और टैक्स रेट जो 112 में उसके लिए यू कैन नॉट एक्सटेंड द प्रोविजंस. These are giving provision under section 50 for calculation of a gain in case of depreciable asset, not for exemption benefit under 54 EC and not for application of tax. So वो judgments पे ये आ गया था. Sorry, this remains. This is the gain from a long-term asset. Though it will be chargeable under the head capital gains, but it is long-term asset, so the tax rate will be 20%. And 54 is भी benefit आपको मिलेगी. asset तो long term मिला, asset तो short term होता नहीं है. asset तो मैं 10 साल का होल्ड करूँ तो वैसे judgments आ गए. अब आज की लाइन है up to assessment date 26, 27 that benefit is still available. I don't know a lot of people who are not. That क्योंकि system आपको permit नहीं करता. Utility आपके allow नहीं करती. You have to play around with the utility. Utility तो ऑटोमेटिक क्या करता है जितना भी एक्सेस कंसीडरेशन है ब्लॉक में तो उसको शॉर्ट टर्म क्या दे देगा रिकल करके 30% कैलकुलेट करके दे देगा. सो यू हैव नो चॉइस. ओनली चॉइस अवेलेबल इज कितना स्लो हो जाए उतना रिपोर्ट करो ब्लॉक में. पेरेंट्स को लॉन्ग टर्म कैपिटल कर दिए ये करके सेपरेट एंट्री करो तो आपको 12.5 बेनिफिट. बट दिस बेनिफिट हैज बीन रिमूव्ड by making an amendment in 54C and 112 stating that it should be a long-term capital gain and not an income from long-term capital asset. पहले था income from long-term capital asset, तो मेरा argument है कि long-term capital asset है. Section 50 में कवर है क्या asset, तो मुझे वो benefit मिलेगी, अब वो मिलेगी. So this is again a policy major change which has happened to reverse lot of judgments which were in favor of assets.
Sir, one question.
Yes.
Whether this will be changed in Bombay High Court? Because the basic objection was, the purpose was the not to make any change in the policy. So this is a policy change.
No. But objective was that, but that does not mean that they cannot make policy. The objective was that they make policy change through a budget, not through an act. जब इधर अगर मान लो उनको इकट्ठे साइड पे इंट्रोड्यूस करना तो फ्लैट लाइन 2026 से इंट्रोड्यूस करना वो तो पावर नहीं है. Making a policy change is their right. They are the policy makers. So original objective नहीं था कि बाद में finance act 2026 तक वो लेके आ ही सकते थे. तो original इसलिए नहीं किया. So there is no confusion amongst the general public. जब पूरा नया act आ गया सब कुछ change हो गया वापस नहीं पड़ेगा. So that much at least you are believed. If you see, income tax act 2025 is not so much big change except this 5-6 more important little change. Income from other sources. एक अच्छा चेंज इसमें हुआ है in the new act 56 to 10 जो gifts. If you receive a gift from certain relatives, तो relatives में एक list है. इस list में line थी any linear ascendant. Now what do you mean by ascendant? Ascendant का मतलब क्या है? और descendant. Ascendant मतलब ऊपर, descendant. अभी ascendant में ऊपर क्या होता है? दादा कवर ले, नाना कवर ले. ये क्वेश्चन है. दादा तो कवर ये, वो तो बच रहा है. I'm going to inherit. Nana, Nana, whether they are covered. So whether maternal side is covered or not. Now they are confused. That it includes maternal or paternal. So individually, some other heads, Dada, Nana would have been covered. It was covered as my mother's father. It was covered like that. But technically, if you go further up, it was not covered. Now, all lineal expense from the maternal side is also covered. When you receive a gift from them, it may उसका impact आना होगा. But descendants में change नहीं हुआ है. Descendants में change नहीं हुआ है. So if my Doita receives a gift from an ascendant, that's fine. But I cannot crossly take a gift from my Doita. It may be covered under a separate entity, but not under linear descendants. So linear descendants remains paternal side, linear ascendant remains both paternal and maternal. So this is अभी आज बहुत women empowerment बात कर रहे थे हमारे. Okay. This is small. I'll just skip it. Motorcycles. You all know any interest received towards the claim is now allowed as an expenditure. ये बहुत important issue. Again, dividends income are taxable under section 2070. Any expenditure incurred to earn dividend. पहले dividend exempt था वो disallowed था. सब वो exemption से dividend taxable हो गया तो वो allowable expenditure 57 sub clause 3. There was a restriction that you could not have claimed exceeding 20% of the dividend. So अगर 100 की dividend है तो हम maximum expenses which we have taken over आपको tax taken. Now that has been removed. No expenditure is allowed in this. पूरे 100 पे टैक्स भरना है खर्चा आप कितना नहीं करो. आप borrow करके इन्वेस्ट करो आपको डिविडेंड इनकम आती है आपको उस डिविडेंड पे टैक्स पर करना है. इंटरेस्ट अलाउड नहीं होगा. Why interest? Any expenditure. If you want to correlate any expenditure, you would have incurred some expenditure. You would have done some research that which are good dividend paying companies. और researcher को आपने पे किया तो वो पहले का 57 में within 20% restriction में दिया होता था. अब वो भी restriction निकल गया. Yes sir. Right. In case of SQT. Yes sir. Sorry. In case of my the expenses which is related to STT and debate charges which is being charged by rupees. In case of sale of mutual fund. So that will be allowed. That is already allowed. in the case of capital lease, if you are treating it as a capital lease, the net consideration is taken, so SCP get allowed as a reduction from consideration. But if you are a business income holder, then also it is allowed as an expenditure. So it's allowed. इसमें dividend में कुछ भी अभी allowed नहीं होगा. Yes sir.
Capitalized interest to my shares and for.
The cost of improvement allow होगा वो पहले एक distribute होता है इसके ऊपर. But now there are judgments that says interest interest expenditure on earned for purchase of the share should be treated as cost of improvement. So there are judgments, but I believe lot of people we were not taking this benefit. In fact, मेरा thought process ये था कि शायद नहीं आया होगा, but अभी आपके favorable judgments पास हुआ है, tribunal का, high court का नहीं. Yes sir.
If a gift is received by a HUF from its member.
Exactly. Yes. एक specific है क्या अभी 2 years before. पहले dispute में था, and there were tribunal judgments that says कि अगर HUF को gift receive कर रहे हैं और HUF के members जिनसे receive कर रहे हैं otherwise covered under any other category of relatives, anyway नहीं करता. तो अभी इन्होंने उसको restrict करके एक separate entity डाली है that you should receive from its
And if a gift is received from the HUF of his father of Artha,
नहीं, come back.
a gift is received by a HUF from
As father.
HUF of the
Father.
From an father actually. An expert is receiving a gift from father actually. So technically it's not covered. But if you tell me, if I argue, it can be covered. Because what will happen is father's ex members and my ex members more or less to be covered. More or less. Except maybe my mother if she is alive, who will be not be forgiven father, or maybe father if he is dead. But otherwise mother and father are anyways the relative of all the members of son ex. So that judgment of capital you can apply that otherwise all the members are individually covered as relatives. So if you give an effect to that, HUF is nothing but a individuals. It's only a name. It's basically a correlation. It's a compilation of individuals. That's all. So it should be a लेकिन सर लेना ही क्यों चाहिए गिफ्ट नहीं लेना चाहिए दोनों एक्सट्रा को कंटिन्यू करो ना सर कंटिन्यू या तो आप उसको डिसॉल्व करके पैसा डिस्ट्रीब्यूट कर दो करता को another of course this is not a major change again section 57 as you may recollect if income from other sources otherwise property law ये all my rent में देता हूँ which includes tables shares furniture so whether it's paid tax as income from house property or income from other sources so then they may clarification आया कि if it includes various it's not only space it's land, it's furniture, lot of other services are included, it's free tax and other, and if you cannot bifurcate, right? Into what pertains to building, what pertains to furniture, you tax it as an income from other source, and following expenditure will be allowed. That were 3 items were listed, that was repair, depreciation, insurance. But land revenue, local tax rates were not, now is an agreed. Actually पहले हुआ करता था फिर उसको डिलीट कर दिया अब वापस ले आएगी ये इम्पोर्टेंट है चेंज अगेन आई विल this are naming provisions are very the most problem again section 382 section they have been now consolidated into section 101 to 106 certain changes we merged with so what is a major change if you see section 68 to 69 is C man generally there is a language that if it is not to the satisfaction of assessing officer, he may be deemed to be the income, the value of cash credit, unexplained investment, money expenditure. Last line is that may be deemed to be the income of the assessee for the relation. Now this maybe has been replaced to cash inflows. Rather than any judgment say, I'll tell you the background that maybe has to be treated as cash. 68 के केस में था लेकिन इसको इन्होंने चेंज कर दिया क्यों व्हाट विल बी आई इम्पैक्ट
क्योंकि जब उसने सेटिस्फैक्शन है वह किया है ये जेन्युइन नहीं है तो उसे करना ही है
so क्यों चेंज I'll read one line again please keep it in mind may be deemed to be the income of the assessing for the assessing. Now it says shall be deemed to be the income of the assessee for the financial. So what could be that? Now the assessing officer is obliged to tax in the hands of that assessee only. In whose books the credit has been known, or under whose devices are unexplained investment which were not recorded in the books, or unexplained money was. He cannot go beyond that. So there was always an argument being made by the NCC. That was, I have explained it. पैसा तुम मेरा हाथ में कोई मुझे तो एक्सपेरिमेंट से मिला एक्सपेरिमेंट कहाँ से पैसा लेके आता वो जाने आप उसके हाथ में टैक्स करो and both are ahead then he's right if he has explained you go ahead now if at all even source of source because source of source is only restricted to what is not other entities that was amended in 2017 and champion was brought in 2013 but source of source not for other unexpected benefits investment it's not applicable. So I would have argued that both should have said कि if he has explained the source और source of source मैंने नहीं बनाया तो आप उसके हाथ में टैक्स करो मेरे हाथ में नहीं ये provision के बाद he gets empowered to tax once he is not satisfied to whatever levels he will tax it in the hands of the assessee whom the ultimate credit has been. He has that power. So ये maybe को इस तरीके से इंटरप्रेट किया गया था कि आप दूसरे से करते मैंने बता दिया कि भाई मुझे अभी से मिला भाभी जी ने बोला भाभी जी से मिला भाभी जी ने और किसी ने बोला आप उसको टैक्स करो क्या मैं एक्सप्लेन था ये मे बी द shall be please if I am not satisfied that there is some unsatisfactory explanation I will get a power to tax even the two levels one level recipient ultimate beneficiary that's what impact could be.
Why is it 2 level or 3 level? Because it is only a source of source only to give, right?
Source of source
sources
नहीं है सोर्स ऑफ नहीं कहीं पे नहीं है सोर्स ऑफ सोर्स भी वही है आज की लाइन में बॉर्डर इसकी है सो क्वेश्चन इज नाउ इन एरिस मेबी एंड शेल्फी का इशू है फिर शेल्फी में मुझे इधर ऐड करना ही है सेटिस्फैक्टरी पहले ऐसे इंटरप्रेट किया गया था तेरा असेसिंग ऑफिसर के पास पावर है पीछे वो ह्यूमन करके ऐड करे अब उसके पास पावर नहीं है उसको तो इधर ही ऐड करना है इट इज नॉट सेटिस्फाइड एनीवेयर he may be satisfied of the source but may not be still further satisfied then also he may bring in an add it over. Yes,
so you cannot go to level 3. So if I am not satisfied level 3, then I cannot.
He could not have gone today. He could not have gone today. But after becoming a strategy, that means he has to make an addition. And he can make only an addition in the hands where the credit is received. He does not have a choice. जो डिस्क्रिप्शन था कि मुझे करना है कि नहीं करना है वो डिस्क्रिप्शन खत्म गया जब डिस्क्रिप्शन होता है तब कोच बोलते हैं डिस्क्रिप्शन शुड बी एक्सरसाइज फ्रीली he should have gone ahead he should have not stopped it now he will say I don't have a distinction I found a credit I am not satisfied I'll make an add that's all so one of the argument which was being made could be addressed by this regulation that's what the dividing steering is but of course I will tell you another important issue आपको पता है सीसीए का रिलीज क्या है क्या नहीं कैश क्रेडिट डालना अभी एग्जिस्टिंग कैश क्रेडिट उसको अनएक्सपेक्टेड क्रेडिट कर दो क्यों ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है कैश क्रेडिट एंड अनएक्सपेक्टेड क्रेडिट अब कैश क्रेडिट बाइज जनरली हेडिंग इज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट unless there is provided that heading the substantive provision will override the heading otherwise heading is very there of course कैश क्रेडिट का ये मतलब है कि आई टू रिसीव अ क्रेडिट बाय वे ऑफ कैश if you read it then I or if you 68 people do so you should have received some amount which is not excluded of course and there was an argument made by a lot of assessors before the court of law that credit payments will not be covered under section 68 credit मतलब मैंने purchase किया है उसका debit purchase credit so there is no cash receipt so 68 would not be applicable of course judgments were against yes this argument was not accepted by the judicial court of law they said no credit is a white term if it is credited to your account it is covered irrespective the payment side so whether it's a goods whether it is cash does not matter the credit is unexplained cash credit है covered but I believe as a matter of abundance safeguard they have changed this to unexplained so not only a cash credit the purchase that is any entity made by debiting any subprime account. If it is indicated in your books, any credit paid through a general credit would also be covered. They were secured through a earlier precedence, but as a matter of abundant caution, they have changed the heading also. So they never know कि आज की तारीख में कोर्ट मेरे साथ है कल फाइल नंबर बैंक सुप्रीम कोर्ट की गलती है और उन्होंने बोल दिया एग्री तो कैश क्रेडिट है आप रेडी इसको कैसे इसमें ओपी कर सकते हो सो एज अ मैटर ऑफ क्वेश्चन दे हैव चेंज द हेडिंग आल्सो अनदर चेंजेस you will know 69 69 A 69 B के अलग-अलग conditions it should be recorded in the books if it is not recorded in books there are different sections so assessing officer was always given a entire section so amounts were recorded in the books he used to have 69 A या amounts books में recorded नहीं था तो गलती से 69 B एक specific sections इन्होंने क्या किया वो sections को merge किया so there is no mistakes in application of section. I apply another acquiring books. Then if I find any excess value के 3 करोड़ में books में record किया मुझे पेपर सर्टिफिकेट के 5 करोड़ में आपने परचेज किया तो मैं गो कर पहले उसने सेपरेट सेक्शन के साथ पूरा ही रिकॉर्ड नहीं है तो ए लगा है आधा रिकॉर्ड है तो बी लगा है अभी एक ही सेक्शन 103 तभी there is no problem. So they are trying to merge it so there is no application of problems when there is section to be applied. So avoid litigations. Another change ये मैंने already discuss कर दिया initial है कि 115 BBE में जो change हुआ है वो 2020 में भी हुआ income tax 2025 में भी हुआ 60% का tax rate 3% हो गया effective date 78% से 39% ये तो अच्छा हो बट जब अच्छा होता है तो कुछ बुरा भी होता है what they have done is penalty they have calculated and they have said that for the purpose of any income which is charged under the living provisions, penalty would be treated as if it is misreporting, not underreporting. Underreporting में 50% है, misreporting में 200% है. इसका मतलब 79 नहीं है, 200% penalty का दर है, तो another 60%. So this 39 will become 99. Because they have said it will be underreporting. If it would have been misreporting, if it would have been open form, case of misreporting or underreporting, तो 50% मतलब 50% में मैं निकल सकता था. So 39 plus 15 still it would have been less than 78%. But you can always argue that there is no risk. You can always argue. According to me, still it's verification because we have seen it. Penalty gets to be reasonableness only because tax has been imposed does not mean penalty would be. You were not satisfied by your explanation, but explanation तो मैंने दिया है ना, प्रूफ तो करने की कोशिश की है, आपने satisfied नहीं है तो आपने उसको टैक्स कर दिया, living provision. That does not mean penalty should be imposed. There is no misreporting. I have reported, it's recorded in books, but जहाँ पे है उसमें recorded, that could be enough. So if I find that any undisclosed asset, उसमें ही recorded is I have bought some land. And it's not recorded. I will invoke trade and green, unexplained investments made in the land. And those are not recorded in books. Then the penalty could be a difficult because obviously there's no reporting which has happened. So misreporting could be invoked. These are other general provisions. Of course, I'm just keeping those provisions. एक छोटे-छोटे जैसे changes हुए. 80DD में आपको फ्लैट 75,000 का डिडक्शन मिलता था फॉर अ मेडिकल ट्रीटमेंट ऑफ अ पर्सन विद डिसेबिलिटी. अभी इस फ्लैट को अप टू 75,000 इसका क्या मीनिंग हुआ? अप टू करने का मतलब एक्सपेंडिचर एक्चुअल 15,000 चाहिए तो 15 देगा 90,000 चाहिए तो 25 करवा. सो दे हैव रिप्लेस्ड वर्ड्स, दे हैव एडेड वर्ड अप टू. ये there are certain certificates to be issued by chartered accountants where you are claiming profit-linked deductions. Am I right? KNCT, ATI, जब नया एक्ट बना तो 4 ऐसे सेक्शन थे ATIA, IAB, IB और 10AA. इसमें जो सर्टिफिकेट की करंटली रिक्वायर्ड थे. Of course, those sections have been now changed to 138, 39, 41 and 44. उसमें CA certificate की requirement अगली. There was no requirement of a CA certificate. So obviously जब CA certificate रहता है तो इंस्टीट्यूट काम पे लग जाएगी. ये क्या है हमारा certificate नहीं होती because when you claim profit incentives or deduction, it's not only a one-page certificate. You have to make separate financial statements and get it audited and attached to forming part of certificate. So this was true. So we tried to make a representation, but they have not included this in the act here. Income Tax Act 2025 में नहीं किया. In the rules 66 of the income tax rules that is included. तो जो सर्टिफिकेट की रिक्वायरमेंट थी एक्ट के अंदर इंडिया के 139 में से निकल गई, लेकिन बाय वे ऑफ रूल्स नाउ सर्टिफिकेट इज अगेन कंपल्सरी. सो टेक्निकली सर्टिफिकेट में एक लीगल डॉक्यूमेंट जरूर है उसमें. Because if Act do not provide and if rules provide, then technically one may argue I do not require a certificate. अगर मैं गलती से गलती आर्ग्यू करी जब मैंने सर्टिफिकेट नहीं किया और उससे डिडक्शन क्लेम कर दी तो मैं आर्ग्यू करूंगा ये नहीं जरूरी नहीं है सर. रूल्स कैन नॉट ओवरराइड एक्ट और एक्ट में पावर नहीं है. एक्ट में पावर होना चाहिए फॉर प्रिस्क्राइबिंग. ये पर्टिकुलर सेक्शन के लिए पावर नहीं है. तो ये गैप ना जब रूल्स में आ गए तो हम तो सर्टिफिकेट दे दें या प्लीज बंद किए दोगे. अगर नहीं दोगे तो आप डिस्प्यूट करोगे, वो पेनल्टी लगाएगा, पेनल्टी नहीं लगाएगा, वो डिडक्शन अलाउ नहीं करेगा, फिर आप अपनी में जीतोगे. कहेंगे ये सर एक्चुअली प्रोवाइड है सर्टिफिकेट की जरूरत क्या है. रूल्स कैन नॉट ओवरराइड एक्ट एंड एक्ट डज नॉट गिव द पावर टू से रूल्स फॉर द पर्पस ऑफ दिस पर्टिकुलर section. So anyways, you continue to give certificates. That's better. 80 IAC. This is a deduction for eligible startup. उसकी टर्नओवर लिमिट्स नाउ 100 करोड़ से 300 करोड़. So this is a change. Another, you may know offshore banking units or units of IFSC hold 10 years का profit deduction. Now this has been increased from 10 to 20 years. पहले 10 consecutive years में claim करना था out of any 20 years. In 15 years, any 10 years consecutively. Now any 20 years out of the 25 years. Let's take an example. I have already completed 10 years or the 9th year in March 26. What will that? Will I get now balance 11 years or 1 year? अभी 20 साल हो गया है. मैंने ओल्ड लॉ में क्लेम किया था जब 10 साल था, मुझे 20 साल मिलेगा क्या? सर बेनिफिशियल प्रोविजन है, so we should get 11 years. Number one. Secondly, remaining years you will have 9 years already claimed, you will not. This time because 536 जो सेविंग प्रोविजन है वो आपको कवर करता है कि पीरियड से तो having claimed in previous law it will be continued from here on. MAT में थोड़ा सा चेंज हुआ है. Suppose now MAT applies to a very certain companies who are not claiming a beneficial tax rate. Beneficial tax rate for companies is 22% and full tax rate is either 25% or 30%. 25% जिनकी टर्नओवर 400 करोड़ के नीचे है for the previous assessment year, but before previous उनको मैट एप्लीकेबल था. मैट की टैक्स रेट 15% that has been brought to 14%. मतलब मेन इंपॉर्टेंट चीज आ जाती है एट मैट क्रेडिट मेरे पास कोई एक्यूमुलेटेड नहीं है तो मैं आगे फ्यूचर में एडजस्ट करता था. अभी उस एडजस्टमेंट के ऊपर रेस्ट्रिक्शन आ गई कि मेरी जितनी भी इनकम है उसका only 25% of that income, not MAT credit. So I may have a MAT credit of 100 rupees and my income is 25 rupees. So I would have adjusted whole 25. Now I can reduce 25% of 25 is whatever amount is 6 rupees, only to that extent 6.25 I can adjust, balance I will tell you. So restriction on MAT adjustment. Charitable purpose, it's a big change. will take as a I will just try to touch on 2 or 3 important words like you, but it requires a very thorough study on that. पहली बात तो हम सोसाइटीज बोले ट्रस्ट बोले जो भी तभी चैरिटी is being understood और इसकी भी चैरिटी कॉम्प्लेक्स दिस इज चैरिटी ट्रस्ट इज रजिस्टर्ड एट द सिटी लेवल. नाउ they have come with a quite one that is not profit oriented. So now it was everybody will be whosoever is giving an exemption will be treated as NPO, registered non-profit organization. Now, what do you mean by registration? Registration is registered under any other act or income tax act. It is increment. Registration has been defined in 355 to include provisional registration, provisional approval, and approval under section so and so forth of the Income Tax Act. Registration shall not include approval under second provision to 80G5. मैं all sections use कर रहा हूँ ताकि आपको convenience है, but actually all these are now new sections are in. So registration is once you are registered under the Income Tax Act, whether provisional or legal, it will be a registered NPO. Once you fall under the registered NPO, the calculation of the income, like अभी section 11, 12 होता है, वैसे के वैसे आगे भी होगी. But they have been defined three categories of income. One is taxable regular income. What do you mean by taxable regular income? अगर आपका फंड आपको रिसीव होते हैं और आपने उसको अप्लाई किया है to the extent of 85%, अगर आपने अप्लाई किया तो आपको accumulate करना है 85% inflation is permissible, that could be called as taxable regular income. Then there is another specified income. Specified income मतलब आज की तारीख में जो हम sin income कहते हैं, anonymous commissions, undisclosed income, income which is disallowed as an application and it is treated as income, expenditure by way of related party, not in the arm's length. Section 30 में जो disallowed है, उसको सपोज स्पेसिफाइड इनकम डाल के जिसके ऊपर टैक्स रेट विल बी ऑफ फ्लैट 30%. सो यू हैव अ रेगुलर इनकम जो सब कुछ बराबर है. इट इज विद द प्रोविजंस ऑफ द section 11, 12 and 13. Those are regular income. Then there are specified income which we call as seen income for these reference anonymous donations, undisclosed income, income which are not available explained, which are received in violation of section 11. Those will be called specified income जहाँ पे flat 30% कोई भी स्लैब बेनिफिट आपको नहीं मिले. थर्ड एक है रेसिडुअल इनकम. अगर स्पेसिफाइड में भी नहीं फॉल हुआ जो कुछ भी बचा वो रेसिडुअल इनकम आपको लाइक नॉट फॉलो. देयर आर ओनली टू इनकम बट इज रेगुलर एंड व्हाट इज स्पेसिफाइड थिंकिंग इफ यू लुक इनटू द डेफिनेशन. But they have also point one called residual income. It's not a regular, it's not specified. It will be treated as residual and it will be charged as a specified income at the flat tax. So these are three different goals point. Of course, we will have to map it. I am not going into a detail as I said earlier. Charitable के लिए you can have a different session of 1.5 hours because there are a lot of stages which have happened in that. TDS 194C work का एक word expansion किया है. Supply of manpower has been included within the ambit of work. Manpower supply आपको पता है क्या? ये जो सिक्योरिटी सर्विसेज दिया था ये वर्क में इंक्लूड नहीं होता था. दैट वाज डिस्प्यूटेड व्हाट शुड बी द एप्लीकेबल TDS. So now it has been verified that it will form part of work plan. Advertising was excluded from commission and brokerage for advertising को 194J प्रोफेशनल में इंक्लूड करना था. ये दो डिस्प्यूट चल रहे थे. कोई कहते थे एडवर्टाइजमेंट क्योंकि एक्चुअली कमीशन बेस्ड पे चलता है. Generally, what is paid to media is not subject to TDS. Only the commission amount was being subject to TDS, but it was being included in commission. Now they are claiming this would be treated as personal. So 194J और उसमें दोनों में amendment हुई है. So I'll just keep this considering the time. And TDS and TCS correction statement. अभी कितने टाइम में you can correct the TDS TCS statement? 6 years. Currently it stands 6 years. Now it has been reduced to 2%. But convener sir, just last 2 minutes I'll just tell you. आपने चेयर बैठ गए तो मुझे समझ में आया. I have to because I know next speaker will be here at any point of time and we have to have a break also. Have a deliciousness. Section 197 पहले section 197 is for the rate of tax deduction. Was only available for certain sections listed therein. Now it is available for any section. You can apply and there is also changes made and it will be an online videos वो अभी through circular था अभी act में ही provision आ सकता है. So it's a good change. TCS I'm just skipping it. एक थोड़ा सा last touch करूँगा. Of course certain season takes lot of time. ये मतलब amendment हुए neglect the budget पे discussion हुआ था. But income tax will pass हो जाता. अगर ये प्रोविजन इसके ऊपर बहुत सर्विस नहीं हुई थी इसलिए मैटर वाज रिफर्ड टू अ select committee of Loksabha. What was the reason? They have taken up power to break open the past. Open digital assets. Now digital assets includes computers, social media, everything they have divided under various provisions. Without prohibiting responsibility. Why they have taken this power? Earlier, both are aware that when you break open it means that you have done this with the not with the consent of the search staff. And when anything is taken without the consent, it does not have an evidently value under the Indian Evidence Act. ये तो फर्स्ट हो गया स्टेटमेंट जैसा. तो ये उसको चेंज कर दिया. तो ये इन्होंने अमेंडमेंट दिया कि नाउ दे टेकन अ पावर अंडर दैट एक्ट ओनली टू ब्रेक ओपन. So if you break open the passwords technically, then it will not be beyond the provision of law. But this is restricted during the course of search. It's not in a regular course. Survey में भी उतना power नहीं है. Only at the time of the search. So if they enter it, अभी आप कोई जान से तो पास लोगे नहीं, आप लेके जाओगे. So if you're not giving a password, then they have rights to pay. And you cannot tell that it is taken from a coalition, rights have been taken. So these are the related changes at all places. They have defined what is digital space. I'll just keep all this important things. Again, as I said, search के ऊपर you can have a very this. I don't have a time, but a return of income एक small change there. You may know this year is the person offering the tax under profit and gain of business but not under audit instead of July now, August will be applicable. This is applicable for this year also and from the Income Tax Act 2025 also. So without going into it, updated return a small change, and this is again very, you may know for the purpose of an updated return, two small changes have been made. If your loss was getting reduced, you were not allowed to file an updated return. Updated return तभी allowed था जब कुछ tax payment आया था. Reducing of loss was not allowed. Now it is. Number two, अगर कोई notice issue हो जाए तो आप update नहीं कर सकते. अब आप कर सकते हैं. Reopening की notice हो गई होगी, लेकिन अगर आप कर सकते हो तो आपको थोड़ी सी additional tax 10% और pay करना है. जो additional tax pay करना था based on the 1 year and 2 years, now you have to pay another 10% top up of the additional tax if the notice has been issued, but you are permitted to update the return. So काफी चीज ओपन की है, आप रिवाइज रिटर्न फाइल कर सकते हो दिसंबर तक, नहीं किया तो मार्च तक करिए, लेकिन फाइनली फी पे करिए 1000 and 5000. So you are permitted but you pay a fee. I'm skipping little DTA provisions. Only very importantly, DTA में there was a dispute which is going on international tax. That if any word is not defined in DTA, neither defined in income tax act, then market should be. It says whether it's referred to a dictionary minimum. Post convert, yes. Now they want to clarify that. First, you refer to DTA. DTA में define किया तो income tax act. तो DTA override income tax act. Am I right? Yes. Income tax act में तो आप कोई भी central act नहीं देते. So they want you to clarify. So ऐसा नहीं हो जाए कि central act में आप कुछ define किया है, लेकिन you go by a dictionary. So they have amended this act from Income Tax Act 2025. So with this, I'll just add it. I don't want to take much more time. Thank you very much for your patience, Gary. I will try to cover and then about it. And then I take earlier for a lot of sections, you can have an deep intercase section also. Like for firms and LLPs, you can have a in detailed section also. Thank you. If you have any questions, you can just scan this. I'll get answers.
Requesting hello. Requesting members to wait. I mean, there's one more speaker. Thank you, Piyush bhai. Such a wonderful and interactive and enlightening session. Before inviting our deputy for a formal vote of thanks, just we would like to invite one more speaker. So before that, I would like to wish Happy Mother's Day to all amazing mothers. And one more announcement. Last week, we have introduced this registration participation for the event. So I can see a lot of churning in that happening in that, but still long way to go. Still, I feel many members are coming without registering for the event. So my humble request to all the members who are coming, payment of the fees is different. Once you have paid the fees, there is a separate link shared each week by Navnath, our office manager, for registration for the participation of the event happening on the Sunday. So it helps the organization to make a better arrangement for you all. So it is for your convenience only. So my humble request to all members, whosoever coming to attend the event on Sunday. So before that, it's only 2-minute click, 2 seconds click, not 2 minutes. I have registered myself. So it's no limit to any past conveners or conveners. Everybody has to register for that. So it helps the organization to make a better arrangement for it. So my humble request to all, whenever you come for any event for a Sunday participation, just register for it. It's a simple discipline and 2 seconds click only. It will help you. You have to only come and sign only. But if you are coming without registering that, you have to fill up these kind of complete details. So we indirectly discouraging members. So I mean coming for without registration. So it will help you only.
Allow unregistered also. So
Even if we are unsure, we can take.
We are allowing, no?
On the app, you allow unregister also. That is, if we are not able to attend the event, we can unregister. For the separate seminar.
Yes, yes, that is there. We will make some altercation in that. So our, that app is to slightly tinkering should be done. It is a prototype. We are coming a long way from the Google form. We have reached here. So we will go that mile also. Number one. So now I would like to, before I invite, nowadays there is a lot of scope of supply chain finance and transactions happening on digital platform. There are various scope for CA fraternity, CA members in that. So for that, we have invited today our MD and CEO, Mr. Karan Mehra for Amplio. For just I am requesting, inviting here for 10 minutes brief introduction and giving what they are doing in this platform, what are the opportunities for CA members in that. This is a hot and happening scenario topics for today's world. I'm in a bank, so I can vouch for this. So lot of scope for CA members in that supply chain finance. So Mr. Karan Mehra, please. Before coming to on the stage, I requesting our past conveners to give brief. Abhi break nahi hua hai, please wait. So requesting our past conveners, so present a memento for